you guys sent me your games, and today I'm going to be ranking those games to see who has the best brilliant moves. I'm going to be using a tier list to do this. Let's hop into it. So here's the first position. Like, you guys should already know what this is. I think it's called the Intercontinental Ballistical Missile, something like that. I don't know the name, but it's a brilliant move, and it's why it's time to play. Ensure that you pause the video and while you're going through it, so that way you find it. But the brilliant move in this position is knight takes f7. And that's a brilliant move. Now, here's why it's brilliant. Once we fork on f7, we're already attacking the queen and the rook. So if he decides to just move his queen away, we're going to take the rook. But here's where things get fancy. If his king takes, the king no longer guards the queen, and our queen is on the same line as his queen. After this, now we're actually going to play the move bishop to g6. Now, this is called a discovered attack. This is a double brilliant, by the way. And the king basically has to react to the move. And we're going to simply win the queen. So once the king takes the bishop, we win the queen, and that's just GG's. Now, everyone should know this trap. It comes from the Scandinavian fence. Knight g5, we sacrifice the pawn, bishop takes, and the moment they make this blunder, h6, we sack the knight. Now, for this one, it's a classic, so I don't think if you know, actually, I'm going to put it here because I think it's kind of obvious, especially if you know it, you just need to sack it. But it is double brilliance. It is double brilliance, so let's put it at S. Let's keep going. Now, here's the next position. White just played the move queen to e3, and that was a mistake. It's black's turn to play here, and the guy found, keep in mind, he does not have a queen on the board, and he found the move rook takes d4. And the reason why he formed this is because the queen and the king is on the same diagonal. He has a dark squared bishop. So all he did was he eliminated the opponent's dark squared bishop. And because the queen and the king is on the same diagonal, it followed up with bishop to c5, pinning the opponent's queen. And then now white has to sack the queen. And just like that, black has an extra piece. Now, I mean, it's just a rook sacrifice, it's definitely not phenomenal. So I would give it like a B class. You sack the rook, you've sacked the rook to find a pin. Simple stuff, but definitely not in the A. Now, this one is nice. White just played pawn to g3, and you guys should just know this position, by the way. It's coming from a Traxler counter attack. Now, black has a way to gain white's queen. I've done this many times, and it starts by noticing that this rook is unprotected and the queen is on the same line as the rook. So all we need to do here is sacrifice the knight on g3, and that's a brilliant move, because if the rook moves up the way, we're just going to move the knight, and queen f2 is going to be a checkmate. But if the pawn takes the knight, now we're able to take the rook. We check the king now has to move. And if you notice how the queen is attacking the queen and the king guards the queen, now we do the removing the guard tactic. Knight to d4, removing the king from guarding the queen, then we win the queen, and that's GG's. So this one was a nice one. It's coming from an opening, like everybody plays that opening. So it's not something where it's something It's not necessarily something you sat at the board and you found it. So I'm gonna give it an A though, and that's because of how deep it goes. Like, you sat the knight, but then eventually you win the opponent's queen. That's why I'm gonna be giving it an A. Okay, so the opponent just took something on e4. Keep in mind, black's king is in the center of the board. And remember what we said, if our king is out the center and the opponent's king is in the center, we want to open the center. So white's objective was to keep black's king in the center, and white actually found the move knight takes e4. And that's a brilliant move, because keep in mind, if he castles his king, we grab the bishop. That's a free bishop. We're winning the game. Now, if he decides to take the knight, then he puts the queen and the king on the same line, and then rook to e1 pins the queen. Now, this is a decent one. It requires some understanding. So I'm going to be giving it a B. It requires some understanding. Definitely not a A though. Now, this is a weird one. I mean, 800 players were playing, but I don't know. Like, the opponent just played queen to d5. And I was like, I'm not going to take your queen. I'm going to play the brilliant bishop takes h7. Personally, I think he missed that the queen was hanging. Personally. So, unless you saw that you could have took that queen, then I don't know about this move. It's very strong though. So for that, I'm gonna drop it in C. It's nice, but it seemed a bit accidental. All right, so it's white's turn to play in this position. Black just put the bishop on the same line as our queen. Our rook is attacking the bishop, but the queen guards the bishop. This bishop, though, is overworked because the same bishop is also guarding the knight. What's the brilliancy? Now, because we have a light squared bishop, what we do here is we look for the forcing moves, obviously. You guys to keep that in mind. If it's on the opponent's half of the board, it's a candidate move. And the check doesn't work. It's the only capture that works. This one did require some depth, and his opponent didn't even take back the knight. So we didn't get to see if he saw that after queen takes, I have to play bishop g2, allow f5, swing the rook in, and we're still just better here. So for that purpose, I'm going to give him a B. It's nice, but well, surely I think it's his opponent didn't play the correct move. So let's assume that he saw everything. We're going to be giving him an A. Okay, this one is crazy. This one is crazy. Like, Black just played king to g7. White has so many attacking pieces pointing towards that king. But how did White finish this one off? White played the move knight takes b6 in this position. Like, there's a checkmate here if knight takes, so you should be able to find that. And once you know what happens if king takes, then it's easy, you know? But it doesn't immediately lead to a checkmate. That's the thing. But, we get an attack. We can go rook a6, pull the king out, and the king is going to get checkmated. So that's a nice sacrifice. I'm going to give it a B. Like, even if the sack didn't work, you still would have had so many pieces to checkmate the guy's king. Let's do this one. The bishop just capture a pawn on g4. Now, I want you guys to see the move that White plays from before, though, because this one is crazy. The bishop is guarding here, and White wants to sacrifice the knight, and because the bishop guards it, White played pawn to g4. The thing is, though, Black could simply take the knight, but Black decided to take on g4. The bishop no longer guards the f7 square. No, White was able to sacrifice the knight on f7. Now, it's a move on the opponent's half of the board. It's a capture, and if you notice, tactics usually happens when there's a lot of weaknesses in the position. Like after king takes, the king is weak, the bishop is unprotected. Once you have so much weakness, then there's going to be tactics. And then after we check, the king move, bishop takes, you're going to at least get checkmated on the light squares. So this was a very nice sacrifice. But you played g4, and pawn takes would have just been better if the opponent found that move. So for that one, I'm also going to give you a B. Like, it's decent, but the move following up to it, I wasn't by the move following up to it. Okay, this one I like. And the reason why I like it was because it was being played between two 600s. But if you're able to find this, then you have some depth in your calculation. Like, I really like this one. To me, it's simple, but Black knew how to use the knights. Like, it's attraction tactics all over. First of all, notice these two rooks. Knight takes f2. Brilliant move. Because we fought the rooks, keep in mind that this queen is guarding this pawn and this knight is attacking the pawn. So if the queen dares to touch this knight, then that's a royal fork. This knight is also unprotected. But if the queen dares to take this knight, that's also a fork. The guy was 600. Now, the game continued like this. After knight takes, knight to f3 was played. And then he just took. Black is just completely winning. This was nice. I'm gonna give him a S. That one was spectacular, bro. And the fact that you're 600, I'm sure he has potential. Like, type in his name on chess.com and tell me if he's not already at 800. All right, here's what's happening in this one. The white rook is pinning our knights to our queen. And White just played pawn to d4, applying more pressure to the pinned knight. But this is how you can identify when a position could get tactical, by the way. Again, if you notice, White's pieces are not coordinated. The rook is unprotected. And because of this weakness, that alone is helping us. If you notice how we have a battery on the e file, and the most forcing move in the opponent's half of the board is the only check in the position. Obviously, we're going to consider the only check in the position. Once we play knight takes f3, the knight, so we sack the knight on g5 is also able to take and protect the rook. But even though the rook is guarded because of this battery and White's lack of development, we sack the queen, sack the knight, and then we sack the queen. Taking on e1 was also a brilliant. This is double brilliant. There's a rule in this game. I just made it up. If you make a double brilliant, it's a spectacular move. That can't be luck. That has to be a spectacular move. That was a nice move. Okay, this one is not for my beginners. White was 2300 in this position. And I want you to keep in mind that black is attacking white. Bishop's coming in, knight's coming in, rook's coming in. But this is a dynamic position because white is also attacking black on the same side. The rook is on the same line as the king. That's all we need to know to solve this. Black just played knight f5, hits g2, hit the unprotected bishop. Did we move the bishop? No. Offense is the best defense, and it's in his half of the board. So if you had considered knight takes or pawn takes, then that's decent. Knight takes is wrong though. So we play pawn takes, sacrificing the bishop. It's a brilliant move. And after rook takes, keep in mind, it also sacrifices the queen. Yo, because rook takes, we have to sack the queen. So sack the bishop, queen takes, bishop takes was played in the game. And then here, we're just better. Well, after queen takes, yo, this guy, the guy just played e7, check. It's over now, it's mating 12, and he does not have a queen. Did he see all of this? Yo, I don't think he saw all of this. He's 2300. But the fact that he did not see all of that, it just shows his understanding of the game. He's like, I'm not going to defend, I'm going to sack my queen. Spectacular move. That was a spectacular move. I'm not going to lie. Like, everybody's sending me their best game. Like, let's keep going though. Let's keep going. Okay. If you can't find this one, then maybe you shouldn't be playing chess. If you didn't get this one correctly, then you probably should try golf or something. Because it's the rook and the king is on the same line, pointing towards each other. We have a light squared bishop. The guy's king is on a light square. This is discovered attack 101. We have to move the bishop here or here. The guy put the bishop on g3, and that was a brilliant move because he sacked the bishop and take the rook. So it's a brilliant move, but you had to find that move. So we're going to put that one in D. You had to find that move. And it's not really hard to find. No, this one is decent. My guy was playing against a bot, but this is a nice one. So black just played pawn to a6, and the weakness in black's position is the fact that this diagonal is exposed pointing towards the king. Because the diagonal is exposed pointing towards the king, white played what we call a clearance sacrifice, knight g5. Just giving up the knight, that's a brilliant move. Because in the game, black took, but it allows our queen to get access to this diagonal. Now it's over. Because after pawn push, had to see this as well. The queen is now on h5, the rook is unprotected, we sack the bishop. Well, is the idea to take the rook? No, the idea is to win the queen. Queen takes g6, king e7, bishop takes g5. If you saw all of this, let me know in the comments. Knight f6, bishop takes f6. That's a checkmate. That's nice, but he was playing against a bot. I don't trust him. So, and he's 400. So I'm going to put it in A class because it's a very nice move. It's a very nice idea, but you're playing against a bot, bro. Okay, here's another one. You guys should just understand how this works now. We have a lot of pieces in the attack. The opponent's king is in the center of the board. Our king is able to get castle, but because black plays this f6 move, white was able to find the knight takes g6, sacrificing the knight. Decent move, decent move. Again, it's an obvious idea. Once the queen gets control over this diagonal, anything that blocks, we're going to sack on g6. It's a very nice move though. His opponent didn't even accept the sack, and now he's just completely losing. But here we just accept the sack, grab the rook, we're ahead, we're just winning. But also one of those ones where you just had to find if you know anything about chess. So it was a brilliant move. We're going to drop that one in D. So why to play here? I want you guys to calculate in this one. The queen guards the rook. The rook is attacking our queen. Our rook has complete control over this, so the king is not able to run. The king could run here though, and our rook has a possibility of checking the king here. So we should be thinking about skewers. Now obviously, the first move that you thought about had to be a check. So if the first move that you thought about was not rook h8 or queen d8, the only two logical checks in the position, then I don't know what to tell you. But my guy found the brilliant move. Queen takes d8, and then the opponent just resigned. Because, okay, obviously the queen has to take. And because of this rook preventing the opponent's king from coming over, we're actually able to check. The king has to go here, grab the queen, and now we're completely winning. That was a very nice move. It wasn't anything out of the ordinary though, but it was really nice. So I'm going to give you a A or B. Okay, let's put it on B, but let me look on it again. He had to, okay, I'm giving it a A. He had to find the queen sack or rook to H8. These are top share tactics that you guys are finding. I didn't know that you guys were decent. Now, this one, based on how the video has been going and the types of moves that I'm telling you guys to look for, then this one is a no-brainer. I like this one. It's not spectacular or anything, but if you solve these kind of exercises, then that's how you're going to get better. Because obviously, we have three pieces in the attack. The opponent's king is weak. He already pushed his pawns. We have to look for our checks. So rook takes h5, king takes h5. Those are the two good moves. And the thing about it is, if you play rook takes h5 check, that's a brilliant move. The pawn takes, that's a checkmate. But who would play rook takes h5 when we're able to play queen takes h5 check? Sack the queen, and then if the pawn takes queen, we just take on g5, and that's also a checkmate. So this was a nice idea, and then the guy decided he sack his rook instead of sacking the queen, so it's not as aesthetic. So I'm just gonna give him a B. I'm gonna give him a B. Okay, this is where real chess begins now. This is where real chess begins. This is where chess understanding come in. Look on the position. White's queen is offside. It's attacking pawns. It's over here attacking pawns. This king is exposed. The pawn is kind of helping the king, but it's exposed. The king is also overworked because our queen attacks the bishop or rook attacks the pawn. The king is forced to guard both the pawn and the bishop. And our rook is not in the game. With all of that information, my guy found the move. Rook takes h2. Now, he had 5 minutes and 33 seconds on his clock. Rook takes h2. Brilliant move. So I'm not going to say he calculated all of it, but it's nice if he's able to find it. He sacked the rook. The king has to take. He took the bishop. And then after the king move, it's nothing fancy here. We just play king to g7, swinging the rook in the game. And this is going to lead to a checkmate. Very nice. The guy decided to sack his knight and he didn't even take the knight. Like, this is nice. Like, we could have taken, but then the queen comes in to c7 and we check. The guy didn't even take the knight. He just plays king up. And then after king up, then he took the knight and this is going to lead to a checkmate. I really like this one. Very, very nice idea. It's a no-brainer that I'm going to give it an A. No-brainer. Like, you spend some time, you look on it, you sack, your intuition was good, decent. All right, to understand this one, you have to see what led up to this one. So knight c5 was played. Don't know how the guy just missed a simple fork, but the knight forks the king and the rook. The king decided to go to f1 and the king no longer guards the queen. So because of that, the queen is unprotected. Black did not take the rook on a1. Black played the move knight e3 check, sacking the knight, but because our queen is on the same line as his queen, if he takes our knight, then we're going to win his queen. So knight to e3, brilliant. You have to look for your checks first. So this was a decent one. I'm going to give it a B. I mean, it was a I, but it's not passing B. Another nice one. You guys have to know how to find these. The king is a bit exposed. We want to go in with our queen. His rook is attacking our queen. We have to look on the forcing moves in the position. It's a no-brainer. We're not going to just move our queen to g4 or g5. Even though the queen is under attack, the first move you had to look on has to be rook takes g7. Because it's forcing. And once you have, there's something that I want you guys to keep in mind. You don't necessarily need to calculate it. If you're able to have a queen and a rook attacking a king that has no pawns around it, it's gonna lead to a checkmate. Like, don't calculate it. So this was very nice that he saw it. After this, he decided to play queen to f6 first, and then he checks on g1. So I guess he wanted to repeat the position, but all of this doesn't make sense unless... Okay, interesting. So this one, another nice one. I'll give you a B, bro. Nice rook sacrifice. Very, very nice rook sacrifice. All right, this one is a good old discovered attack. I mean, you look on the position, you have a light squared bishop. Your bishop is on the same diagonal as the queen. Your knight is in the way. You have to move the knight out of the way. So, nice one. I'm assuming you found it, by the way. But knight takes f2 is a brilliant move. We sacrifice the knight, and once the king takes the knight, we're going to be able to win the queen. So win the queen with a brilliant move. Nice fight. I'm going to give that one a D. And we have 4 persons. That's spectacular tactics. Now, out of these 4, I need to see which one of them is the winner. Okay, it's a double brilliant, but I'm not going to give this guy the winner because he probably just knows it, watched it in a YouTube video. But let's see the other ones first. This is not a trap that you find in a game. The guy's knight was left unprotected when he sacrificed on f7. And he had to see that if the queen takes this knight, that's a fork. If the queen takes this knight, that's a fork. And he's 700. So definitely a contender. This one is nice. This one is nice. Is it hard to find? Not sure, but it's nice. So this one was a crazy one. The guy is threatening to win the queen. He left the bishop unprotected. It's not something that you can memorize. And he just sacrificed everything and took on e6. To be honest, I think it's between this right here or this very strong move. You be the judge though. Let me know in the comments and let me know if I did not judge correctly.